and welcome to another Whiskey review with me, the Whiskey Novice. Please don't unsubscribe. I'll get to why in a moment. It's review number 120, part 3 of my latest series, A Baker's Dozen. Part 2, I suppose you would say, looking at 13 12-year-old Scottish single malts, and it is the turn of Glendronach. Please don't unsubscribe. The 12-year-old, this one bottled at 43%. No colour added. Is it chill filtered? Aye, but we'll move on from that and say nothing for it right now. As I said, Highland Distillery there, Glendronach. This one matured in ex-Pedro Jimenez and ex-Oloroso casks. Aye. And this was an ex-Billy Walker distillery, now owned by Brown-Foreman. Ooh. And, well, yet again, that's a discussion for later on. Let's just get into this whiskey for now, shall we? Come on. Come on now, join in. It smells, my initial thoughts are, it smells dirty. In that, it smells like as if there's been a worm tub used here, but there isn't. It's not, it's shell and tube. But it does, it's got that sort of dirty smell of it, which I like. Naturally, as expected, with that maturation, you get all those dark, brooding sherry notes. They dominate. The fruitcake, raisins, sultanas, peel, etc. But it's quite sweet, and there's a winey note off it as well. Yet again, in a good way, almost a sweet wine or white wine. You know, it's a tanginess, but there's a winey note there for me. Orange, and that it's not just orange, but it's a marmalade, it's a preserve of some shit. It's not, and it's nice, it's sweet, it smells sticky. Apricot, there definitely is a sweetness to this. Apple Jolly Ranchers, which we can't get here anymore without looking for. Jolly Ranchers made it over here and then didn't stay. That's only slight. That Jolly Rancher, it's just it's a confectionery thing, and that Jolly Rancher thing, as in there's something sweet, a boiled sweet, and I think it's an apple boiled sweet. Yeah, there's definitely a confectionery thing there. Along with that stickiness, I said, like a jam or preserve or marmalade, there is a boiled sweet thing, so it's lovely. I know that sounds quite vague, you know, what do you think of this whiskey? Well, it's lovely, isn't it? But it's just got a really nice, pleasant nose, which draws you in for me. It's very well balanced for a sherry cask matured whiskey. It's, even though those brooding notes do come in, as I said earlier, as the dominant thing at the start, that sticky, chewy thing then balances it out, and there's a lovely sweetness there without it being over sweet. Nice, rich, thick, sweet and sour arrival. Coating rich, that jamminess feels like it's there. It just feels chewy, it feels sticky, but at the same time clean. And it pulls it all up out of the murky depths of just being a brooding sherry bomb again. It's so bright that I wouldn't even call this a sherry bomb, because it's, as much as it is, it doesn't feel like one. There's a brightness, a shininess, and it's a great balance between the sugariness, the confectionery feel, and that fresh fruit. Well, it's not fresh fruit, but the sherry the dried fruits, sorry. And there is a hint, when I'm saying that, there is also a hint of fresh fruit in there. Yeah. Yeah, little double tap there. Enjoyed that one. Yeah, yeah, nice, and quite a nice medium length, round finish. Still nice memories of that sweetness, and it doesn't linger, it's clean. Yeah, very good. Let's add a little drop of water. I wouldn't add a whole lot. There's 2 or 3 drops in there, just see what that does, shall we? It's a bit livelier, really. It doesn't. The nose just a wee bit lighter. The palate does actually become more full-bodied, weirdly. And this is why I always promote the trying of water, because as much as you would think thinning it down is going to make the experience thin down, it doesn't always. What you're doing is you're releasing flavour. So that's what's happened here. This has released more. It feels thicker still on the palate. Some slight vegetable notes coming through then. A funny, funky, a hint of a funky tang through it. It's a bit malty. I know what this reminds me of, and it's probably only my Northern Ireland friends who'll know what I'm talking about here. Certainly Irish. Brown lemonade. It even looks like it. Brown lemonade, a bit like white lemonade, but it's brown. It's something that we got locally here. So yeah, look, there's an elephant in the room, and we will, when you're talking Glendronach now, you can't really not talk about the elephant in the room. If you're new to whiskey, if you're not an enthusiast, you'll not know then that there's been a bit of a hoo-ha recently about Glendronach and the change-up that Brown-Foreman have brought in, where they've started to chill filter their whiskey. These labels would have happily promoted and read non-chill filtered up until recently. There's no point in digging this ground over and over. Brown-Foreman have made their statements. They've said why they've started to chill filter batch variations and different batches. It's happened. It's happened. I understand their reasons. I do think that chill filtration does strip away some of the quality of the whiskey. As a matter of fact, I'm very sure that chill filtration strips away some of the quality of the whiskey. So there's always that thing. It's my money. I would prefer it if you didn't chill filter. Is it going to stop me buying Glendronach? No, it's not. I'll not boycott them over the head of it, but I would prefer it if they didn't. And the crowd sometimes speaks, the crowd sometimes listen to. I don't think in this case they will be. Brown-Foreman are big enough and bold enough to continue to chill filter, and they'll still sell whiskey. So what I think of this, I suppose I didn't round it off. Yeah, I do like this. It's a different take on a sherry bomb, on a sherried whiskey. So I do appreciate it. I do think it's a good whiskey, and it comes in around the 30 to 40 pounds mark. So it's for a 12-year-old with no colour added, 43%, I think it's a good price. I think it's worth picking up. So, with that said, if you bought this and you liked it, what would I recommend to you? Well, it's a bottle that I'm actually going to review as part of this series. And it's quite simple for me, because it had to be something sherried, and it had to be something of equal quality. And to me, the one that fits the bill for that is Glendronach 12-year-old, also bottled at 43%. Nothing on there about colour, etc. But you know, it's a good sherried whiskey. There was a word I was searching for there, but it didn't come. So it's one of those things. It was this, or it was another sherried whiskey. It was just something, and I'm not copping out. I'm not saying, I'm not trying to make this easy for myself. I'm just saying that if you bought Glendronach 12-year-old and you liked it, well then, this is a good representation of that feel. So there's something about this that you've liked, and this brings that. This Glendronach, or this Glendronach, brings the same thing, and it's that good quality of make and people that understand what they're doing. So I'm sort of making it a bit simple for myself, but if you like Glendronach 12-year-old, I'm going to recommend to you Glendronach 12-year-old. If you come back later in the series, you will see my review of that one. So that's that. Chill filtration. That's, please don't unsubscribe. It's a big thing with Glendronach. That caused ripples, quite a few ripples through the enthusiasts. I know it did. And they're perfectly within, in my opinion, perfectly within their rights to be disgruntled. Because when you get something of quality, you enjoy something of quality, you know a whiskey, you get a feel for a whiskey, you pay your money, you take your time with it, and then the distillery owners change that just like that, well then you could very easily fall out with the thing, couldn't you? So I do understand why there was such a sour feeling over that one. I'm going to leave it there and not dig around in that mess too long. Say thank you very much for joining me. Thank you very, very much to my patrons. As always, if you wish to join that group, the details are below. Till the next time, my friends, wish you good health. Cheers. Hey, thanks for watching my video. Please click and subscribe to be notified of further content.